Every year, we reward the best games released that year for various categories: best platformer, best RPG, and of course, the best game of the year. And while it is easy to praise amazing works of art, is it possible to truly claim a game to be flawless, outstanding, perfect? What makes the perfect game, if such perfection even exists? First things first, roll the intro. This winter holidays, I played and I'm still playing Super Mario Bros. Wonder, a game that needs no introduction. The game is extraordinary, not a thing wrong or a thing to improve. Mario Wonder is, and I'm sorry for the granted play on words, wonderful. If I wanted to review the game and give it a grade, something I don't do often, I would give it a 10 out of 10 without hesitation. Yet a 10 would imply perfection. Is there nothing, and I mean nothing, the game can improve, add, expand upon? Well, it's hard to tell. The game does not have any big flaws, but there are certainly nitpicks people can have with the game. Is Mario Wonder truly perfect in every single aspect? And now I'm mentioning Super Mario Wonder, but what about high caliber titles like The Witcher 3, Bioshock Infinite, Yakuza 0, Half-Life 2 and many more? Again, spectacular games, but are they perfect? Of course, we're not here to discuss every game's praises and defects, but rather if the concept of a perfect game, of perfection, even exists. The gut answer many of us would have to this question would be no. There's always something a game could have done better or simply more of. However, there's nothing more annoying than nitpicking. We all find it annoying when some game journalist finds absurd reasons to give a 9 out of 10 to whatever game rather than a 10 just to hold this perfection does not exist point. In today's video, I want to explore what it truly means to be perfect in the gaming world. I'm of the idea that imperfections can exist in a perfect product, and that subjective perfection differs from objective perfection. Even if theoretically there is no such thing as pure perfection, there is a more practical definition of perfection that does describe very few exceptional titles. 10s out of 10s do exist, but achieving them requires much more than just being very good. What does it take? Well, let's find out. The dilemma of the existence of perfection is as old as time. Greek philosopher Plato theorized that perfection does not exist in the real world, but can only exist in the Hyperuranion, the place beyond heaven. Everything in the real world is a cheap copy according to him, and only in this theorized realm the perfect version of it all exists. The perfect chair, the perfect statue, and yes, even the perfect video game. Knowing Plato personally, I got the feeling that the perfect video game he theorized was Jet Set Radio for the Sega Dreamcast. Everyone knows he was a huge fan. Around the same period, but across a continent and a half, Zhuangzi also dealt with the philosophical question of perfection and its unreachability. He is part of the Taoism philosophy that believes humans should follow the course of life rather than to pursue an unachievable imagined perfection. The Tao, the harmony of going with the flow of life, was imperfect, but perfect for us imperfect being. And yes, just like Plato, he was also a huge Jet Set Radio enjoyer, if you're wondering. Point being that the debate around the existence of pure perfection is way older in this YouTube video, and I will not pretend to have the authority to tell Plato and Zhuangzi what to think. But while absolute perfection is not reachable, there is a more colloquial definition of perfection that allows more flexibility, that is more inclusive, and that may be used to define great titles. In my opinion, 10s out of 10s do exist, and some games prove themselves to reach this mystical and ambitious perfect score. This may sound a bit paradoxical, but I believe that the perfect game does not need to be perfect in everything, to have the smoothest of technical aspects, extraordinary writing, the best of gameplays, Grammy-worthy soundtracks and beyond. A game that wants to aim to be Game of the Year needs to be well made of course, but there is a more important aspect it needs to bring to the table than ordinary quality. It needs extraordinary quality. You see, there are many games that in my opinion do not need any significant improvements. Games that are well made and complete and offer to the player a great time, but that I would hesitate to call perfect because they lack that extraordinary quality. Extraordinary is a very beautiful word, an adjective that has a very specific meaning. Many compliments can describe a game positively, but only the word extraordinary can describe the perfect game. How loosely or strictly somebody decides to use this word is arbitrary. Some think only one game per generation deserves it, other 10 titles every year, but they all use it nonetheless to give games 10s out of 10s. An extraordinary game, in my opinion, has to push the gaming world towards new horizons never seen before, with innovation, ingenuity and creativity, so that the player feels the standard was raised after playing the experience. The game in question can have flaws, even noticeable ones, but if the game surpasses the player's imagination of what a game can be, then I would describe it as extraordinary. An experience that sinks to the player in such a unique way that it goes beyond the praise the game is well done, but rather the game shows how it can be done. Again, it is not about perfecting every aspect of a game to a theoretical ultimate version, but rather bringing to the table some elements, even only one element, that does something beyond what is to be expected. But why the word extraordinary so precisely? The reason is that other important words such as immense, immersive and intriguing, and other words that may or may not start with the letter I, may describe very well made games, games that deserve nothing but praise, but not necessarily 10s out of 10s. A game can be massive in size, but repetitive to play, extremely immersive but tedious to manage. It can spark good concepts, but never quite develop them. Extraordinary, on the other hand, is a word that has nothing to hide, and thus the closest that can describe perfection. Games I would deem extraordinary are games that almost redefine what a game can be. Perhaps the title is a sequel to a well-known franchise and it refined to perfection all the elements that made it so beloved. Perhaps the game takes an innovative route when it comes to reinventing a game mechanic we gave for granted for the past 20 years. Or perhaps it tells a tale so sublime it surpasses works of literature and cinema with what would have never been unrivaled by video games. In the original draft of the script, I explore more in depth some games with the usual premise, and here's 3 of them, cue the next segment. And if you're one of my 500 subscribers like the charming Dan does, you could probably guess them all. But I realized after writing 1000 words that mine were not objective description of games, but subjective ones. I tried in vain to look at these 3 games critically, explaining how they reach extraordinary levels of quality in different ways. And sure, these games have some objective qualities hard to deny, but could I truly claim you, yes, you the viewer, would feel the same when playing these 3 games? That you call them perfect? The reason why many people, including the big philosophers mentioned earlier in the video, have trouble defining pure perfection is because pure perfection would need unanimous agreement from everyone across the globe, and that's simply too hard of a task to achieve. Yet denying some games feel extraordinary to us is not wise either. We have expectations, and we have to praise games that go beyond those expectations with perfect scores. So, what makes a game perfect? Literally the title of this video. Well, the answer is extraordinary quality, I made that clear. But how is then extraordinary defined? That's the beauty of it all. You define it. Extraordinary is and remains a very beautiful word with a specific meaning. So specific in fact that it molds with our own perception and vision of the product we enjoy, the video games we play. And I know, perhaps concluding my thesis with a cheesy "you get to answer the question yourself" may be a bit obnoxious for some. Heck, perhaps it's even worse than when I say "it depends" at the end of the videos. But for this specific topic, I think it truly matters and it needs to be heavily highlighted. Perfection in the purest of forms may not exist, but subjective perfection does, and only experience and feelings can describe what is extraordinary for you. I've described my definition of extraordinary, but yours may be looser or stricter than mine, and that's okay. If there's one message that I want you to bring home before jumping to the conclusion, however, is that you should not be afraid of calling your favorite games perfect and giving them 10s out of 10s. How often you do this is up to you, but now you know that extraordinary quality makes a perfect game. Does pure perfection exist? Probably not, and I will not try to disprove greater philosophers that came before me, even because I'm not that good at Jet Set Radio as my homies Plato and Zhuangzi. But I will stand my ground and claim that personal perfection does exist, and there are extraordinary games that do deserve 10s out of 10s. It's funny to think that I had the idea to discuss this topic well over 10 years ago, when I read a very old review of Mario Kart DS that gave the game 9.4, where the only negative thing listed in the pro and cons tables was it's only available on the DS. I knew it was probably just a joke, but still, that stuck with me more than a decade, and here I am still defending that same hill. If you made it this far, I wanted to thank you one too many perfection times for watching today's video. I hope today's topic was not too abstract. It was perhaps a bit more philosophical than usual, and hopefully you'll forgive me for giving such an open answer to the question on the title. But still, let me know what you think about the topic and what is your definition of a perfect game. If you liked the video, do not forget to leave it a like, to share it and to subscribe for more. I wish you all a wonderful day, and until next time, arrivederci!